presentation will be on in-flight entertainment and communication with a longtime supporter, Pierre Schubert. Pierre? And we'll be updating the posting on the website shortly to elaborate on this talk. And Pierre has supported this group for a very long time. We look forward to seeing what he has to tell us. I would also point out that, as you know, the presentations are free, but we do like people coming in and networking and participating in the dinners. So tell your friends, especially if it's a talk that will appeal to them. We want to rebuild this chapter, and tonight's a wonderful example of what we're capable of doing in terms of getting a turnout and keeping the momentum going. Well, tonight we have the honor of a very interesting presentation on Android and iPhone programming. The speaker tonight is Professor Art Gittleman of the Computer Engineering and Computer Science Department at Cal State Long Beach. The professor received honors degrees, bachelor, master, and PhD from UCLA. He's currently teaching programming languages, which include Clojure, Ruby, and Erlang. And he's just completed writing and teaching a new course on mobile applications development. He has written several Java and C# textbooks, including his new book, Computing with C# and the .NET Framework, which is in its second edition. So tonight we will get an introductory level talk on programming the Android and iPhones. Android uses Eclipse and Java, and the examples tonight will illustrate designing the user interface, exploring 2D and 3D graphics, and connecting to the web. The iPhone uses XCode and Objective-C and does require a Macintosh for development. The structure of the code provided in the software development kit and some simple applications will be shown with references for further study. And the iPhone examples will include using view controllers, table views, and core data. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Art. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, about a year ago, actually, at our first department meeting of the last spring semester, the department chair said, well, been getting requests for mobile applications from the students, and I think we ought to have a course. So I said, okay, I'll do it. Oh, you can't hear? Oh, I can talk loud. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I have a colleague and myself are the king of loud speech. So, anyway, I had done some Java mobile micro edition programming years ago in my Java book. I have a chapter on that. It was when the first phone, I had finally got one phone that did Java, and I put a few programs in it. But there was nothing compared to the smartphones now, so I really didn't continue with that until this. And when I had the opportunity, and so I've spent the past year kind of ramping up on Android and iPhone, and I taught the course for the first time last fall, and there's a lot of interest, as I'm sure you realize. I mean, some of the students became interns with the city of Long Beach and some other places, and I get a lot of interest in getting students that understand the world. So anyway, what I'm going to do is tell you a little bit about each and simple examples. So it really is introductory. I hope that's satisfactory. There you go. Okay, hold on, I'm not standing in front of this either. So, and I'll start with Android. And because actually I'm using Windows PC here, which for the iPhone you need a Mac, and when I taught the course I borrowed a Mac laptop from Apple, but actually I have an iMac at home, but it's not a laptop. Anyway, so for Android, if you're going to do Android programming, you need Java 5+, and the easiest way to do it is to use Eclipse. You can do it without it, but it's easier to use Eclipse. And so what you do is you download the SDK starter pack from developer.android.com, and then run the setup program. And then Eclipse, I have Eclipse here, and there's a plug-in. So I put here, help install new software, Android development tools. So let's do help install new software. And kind of see here, there's
Can you talk a little louder?
Oh, I forget, okay. Android development tools. Sure, sorry, just keep pumping up because if I forget. Android development tools. And so this is what you do to add on to Eclipse to handle the Android environment. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go back and forth between the slides and Eclipse and do the demos. And then you have to tell Eclipse where Android is located. So that's Windows Preferences Android. So here, Window Preferences, go to the Android, and then you see in here SDK location. So of course I have it set, but that's what you have to do to give it the location. And by the way, these are the various targets. You see I have like 1.5, 1.6, 2.1. I use 2.1 particularly because my phone is 2.1, but there's 2.2, 2.3, and actually Android 3 has just come out this February. So, but it'll take time before there's phones that are incorporating that. So anyway, that's what you need to set up Eclipse. And all right. So now, examples. So what I want to do is give you some simple examples that just kind of gradually get well, show you a few more features of. And so here's the thing. Hello Android is typical what you do. Hello world in any new environment or language. And you don't actually have to do anything to do this program. This is the default. So when I just create a new Android project, it automatically does that. So here in Eclipse, File, New Project, I'll just do it since I have it open anyway. File, New, and then Android project. And then just fill in this thing with a project name. And you have to have a build target, which means you'll see you actually have to create a virtual, an emulator device for that particular level. So anyway, just fill this in is what you would do. Here, if I do Window, Android, SDK, and AVD Manager, then you can see virtual devices. Of course, I have a bunch of them there. But if you don't have any, then you can create your virtual device. So whereas you see, you create several of them to do different versions and test it on different versions. Okay, so here I have the Hello application. So what I did is just what I showed you. I did the new project, filled it in, and this is what you get without actually doing anything. I'll run it. Now, first place I'll run it. It takes a while. That's the only thing. If you compare a little bit the usage of, with the Android and with iPhone, the emulator is awfully slow getting started. So once you have it up, just don't ever, just keep it there all the time. But anyway, I'll start. So just make sure I select Hello there. Okay, and we'll run it. Okay, so it isn't even here yet. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's starting. All right, I'll go back to my slide while it plays around. Okay, so I showed you that, create the Android virtual device, run on emulator. That's what I'm doing now. If you want to run on a real phone, I have an Android phone here, and I do have some of these applications on the phone, and it's very easy. That's another thing that's an advantage of Android. It's very easy to install on the phone. All you need to do is go on your device and enable USB debugging, which is settings, go to the settings, applications, USB, select enable USB debugging, and you're all set. If you are on a Windows machine, as I am here, then you have to install a USB driver, which you can download from the Android site. So anyway, it's very easy. Then just plug in your phone with a USB, and it will run off the, it'll install it on the device. Okay, let's see if the emulator is cooking here yet. Where it go? Yeah, okay. So, there it is. Okay, so it takes a while to get started, but you see, with a light on it, but you can't see too much. It just has hello in the frame, and then hello world, hello. So it's very simple. But I didn't do anything. Notice this was the default application. So, oh, you glared it down for me. Okay, thank you. Now, so let me show you here what I put on the slide. Oh, by the way, well, you'll see later. This will be part of the demo that the slides are actually, my slides are actually already on my website. So that's if we have a connection here. Let's see. So I did this. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so here's where we are now. The Android app framework, and this is, I say, created by default. And you have these different folders. So there's a source folder which has all your Java files. By the way, of course, this is in Java. And although, it's a little misleading. I mean, it's Java, but a lot of it's using the API. So it's not so much actual Java coding. But anyway, so there's a file. And now the Hello Java, which you'll see, I'll show you, is an activity. So an activity represents the current screen, the foreground, and whatever is visible, the current activity. And the resources, you can have a lot of different resources. There's a resource folder. The drawable subfolder has the icon. This is a default little Android-looking thing. And this is what would actually go on the phone. So when you look at the icon on your phone, this would be the little icon. And values, you kind of put your strings, your constants there, so you can refer to them and have them stored in one place and refer to them. And then the layout resource, and that is, notice the strings is XML, the layout is XML also. And so you'll see, I'll show you in a minute, you can either, it's very simple. Actually, I'm used to XML, I can write XML, but it also has a drag and drop thing where you can kind of do a GUI interface. So in the Android manifest.xml, another XML file, that's the table of contents for the application. And then this gen folder has this is generated, you never touch it, but it has the handles for the different components that gives you little names to refer to them. So let me just look at some of these things. Okay, here's hello. So I think probably Android manifest a little bit first. Okay, so this is simple. Here, I'll make it full screen. So this is a simple XML. And the main thing here is that you have an application tag, because that's your main application. And then you can have various activity tags nested in there. So for each activity, now this one only has one activity, so it only has one activity tag. And the activities, you kind of go from one activity to another with an intent. And we're going to intent, so how you use it in English, what you intend to do with it. And so here, this activity has an intent filter that says it's going to be the main. Well, something has to be the main. So anyway, the other activities, you'll see when I do more than one activity, this is the only intent filter that I use just to make sure that we set the main activity. So anyway, this is very simple. You could put other things in here. This says uses SDK, Android Min SDK version 7. So that 7 is 2.1, actually. That's because of what my phone is. But you can put, if you have permissions, the security permissions would go here and things like that with XML tags. Now, here's the interesting thing. This is very nice. You'll see when I get to the iPhone has also an XML file, but it's a grungy, awful thing that you never, ever touch. But this one, actually, I can work with. It's small and easy to use. So anyway, but you don't have to use that. See if I, well, this one, let's not do that. All right, I'll show you later. Actually, you don't have to, but I'll do this. Let me minimize this down again. Okay, so let's do something else. Let's go to the layout. Okay, so here, let me do the drawable first. Okay, here, notice the drawable folder actually has 3 folders. There's HD, PI, high density, low density, and medium density. So, phones have different capabilities. So if you want to work with different size images, you can. You just put the same image in all of them. But anyways, it's just that icon.ping. So ping is a good file format. Now, layout, so here's the layout, and this is another XML file. So there. Now, you see when it happens to pop up, it depends how it's set, but this is the kind of drag and drop where you have layouts here, you have views, and so layout is sort of like Java when you do layouts for your screen, if you've ever done Java programming. These are the different components that you can put in here. See if we kind of scroll down, you see there's button, checkbox, date picker, edit, image view, different things that you might want to use in your user interface. So here, this is very simple, but I just want to show you one thing. When I highlight it, you can see it's wide, but it only encompasses the text going down. So I'll show you, how that's set up. But, the other thing is, notice, here's for one thing. So you can drag things in here to the interface, and you can also, when I highlight it there, this is the properties. It's kind of small here. I can make it bigger, but it's the properties. So if you look at it, there's an awful lot of properties that you can set. Now, here it has layout height, wrap content. It has a few of these set, layout width, fill parent. Most of them, you see how many properties you can set, so you can really do some nice interface design. This is the default application, so nothing's done there. But the text should be in here somewhere if I go down to T. There you go, text. So see, it says @string/hello. So that means it's going to be in the string.xml file, and there'll be a hello entry there for the text. So that way you can just keep it in one place in these resource files. So anyway, now what I do though in the simple thing like this, just go over to the XML itself, and you can see here it's really very simple. This is a linear layout. Now, so linear layout is just what it sounds like. It's a linear in a row, one row, or one column. So vertical, it's one column. Horizontal, it's one row. And so this orientation is vertical, so it's going to be a one column, but there's only one item anyway. And the width, layout width, and layout height, fill parent. Well, fill parent is pretty obvious. It fills the whole, whatever its parent is, the whole screen in this case. Now, the text view, its layout width is fill parent. So the width, as you saw, it fills out the whole thing wide, but the layout height is wrap content. So that means just big enough to make the, fit the words, fit the text. So, and then the Android text that goes in there is from this string XML file. So it's just referred to in that way. So it's very simple anyway, and there's other layouts, but basically that's, and you can, as you saw from that, well, let me minimize again, you'll see again, you can, if I go to the layout view, then you can drag layouts in there, you can drag, you know, controls and so on. All right, so what else do we have here? Layouts, values. So that's where the string XML file is, and that's simply the two strings we have here, the app name, hello, and the hello string, hello world, hello, that goes into the text field. And actually, if I click on this, yeah, so if I click on this, you can actually create strings without writing the XML too. You can always add them, put them in, put properties and things. So you can do either way on all these things, either write the XML yourself or have some kind of tool here that helps you do it. Okay, so I think that about, oh, the source, I didn't show you the source yet. Okay, here's the source, wow, here's the source. So you have to open up the package here. Okay, well, it's a very simple source. It just says that hello extends activity. That's the, from the Android library. And there's a bunch of lifecycle methods that you could use and do use sometimes. But here, the lifecycle of an application. But here, the only thing that we care about is the creation. And it's very simple. All we do is set content view. So where's the view coming from? It's coming from this, a layout main. Now notice it goes by the handle that's in this generated file, r.layout.main. But that means it's the main.xml that gets reconstituted into the GUI. Okay, well that's all there is to it. And this is how it starts out when you create a new application. This is what it looks like. I didn't do any coding yet. So now let's do something, I guess. So, okay, so my next example is an example that I used. This was one of my assignments here for my class, rock, paper, scissors, and it does two things. One, it has two activities, so it shows you how to go back and forth from one activity to another. And the other thing is it shows you how to do add buttons and configure them and so on. So we have some buttons and sound. Actually, I have sound in here too. Well, let's just run it. What the heck? Okay, I somewhat apologize for this. My students actually, I do this as prototype enough to see if it's okay for the students to do. They actually make it nice. So I don't put any, well, I'm not much of a designer, even if I tried, I suppose, but I don't try. Okay, let's try it out Okay, so here's the thing. Rock. So here's the rules on top. Rock dulls scissors, scissors cuts paper, paper covers rock, and choose one to play. So that's a little text view, and I have the hard-coded text in there. But now I have these buttons. So, okay, when I click on rock, and now it says you play rock, device plays paper. Well, paper covers rock, so I lose. But notice I made the text so it has a little shadow and it's red. It's kind of bad. I mean unfortunate. Play again. Okay, well I gotta do better than that. So and we'll choose. Try this now. Aha! You play scissors, device plays paper. Okay, you win. So anyway, so
is that random to take the
Yeah, the computer's playing at random. Yeah, I'm playing at random too. So
Is this on the marketplace?
no.
How much does it cost?
You can market it.
I actually, no, you know, you laugh. Did you see, what in the heck movie was it? I just watched a movie a couple of days ago, you know, the Chinese movie, and he sold this thing, invention for $1 million or something, where you put your hands inside a tube. It's just a tube, and each person sticks their hand inside, so it keeps the rock, paper, scissors secret. So, you know, there you have it. You never know. Money-making opportunities in these little games. It's actually a very good movie. I can't think of the name of it right now. I just watched it a couple of days ago. Anyway, Netflix. Now, so let me show you something.
Play again, see if you choose the last one.
Oh, well, I choose the last one, of course. I shouldn't say it first, because sometimes I give up in the. Oh, you see, I win. Yeah, but it's just random. It's, you know, whatever. Okay. Anyway, so the now let's see. Let's get rid of all this stuff and go to the other one. So let's look at my slides and see what I want to tell you. Oh, that's not the slides. Oh, this is. Okay. So two activities, the RSP, the main activity, and then the result, the one that shows you the result. And so there's the layout. I'll show you the layout in each one, and then how I hook up the buttons and where the intent is, because that's how you go from one activity to the other. And so, and then you can see the text was enhanced. I used some of the properties and kind of filled in if I wanted it bigger and different color and things like that. So, okay, let's see. RSP. Okay, so here are the manifests, the table of contents. And you can see now the only thing is that I have two activities. I have the main activity, RSP, that's the main, and then I have a second activity, the result activity. So, and now, let's see, let's go to the resources and layout, main. Okay, so here you can see I dragged some image buttons and a text view. So let's just look at it in XML to see. So here's a linear layout. Well, this is a nested linear layout. So what I have is an overall linear layout that's vertical. So it has the text view on top of the linear layout, and then the nested linear layout is horizontal because I got the three buttons laid out. And another thing you can notice here is there's an ID here. It's a ID, and so I can refer to, you know, it'll go into, and so I can refer to this image button in Java code using this ID, image button 1. You can make up anything, image button 0, I mean image button 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, and the res, whatever it is, I think I just wiped it out.
Now, did you type all that in, or does that use autocomplete?
It uses autocomplete, and mostly, so you don't have to type it in at all. If you drag in from the GUI, see, I'm using the XML view here, but in reality, if you go to the layout like this, you can just drag these things in, and it will create the XML for you.
But where do you specify your screen size?
You could specify it. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. He asked where you specify the screen size, and I don't remember ever doing that, to be honest. But I'm sure you can. There'd be some property in the.
You generally try not to.
But then when you put in things next to each other, how do you know if they won't
Well,
go on?
Oh well, the layout lays it out on the
Repeat
screen.
the comment?
Oh well, he's trying to wonder how you know where it's going to go. But the way layouts work in Java, they go by position. So it'll take your screen, and if it's vertical, it'll put one under the other somewhere, and if it's horizontal, it'll put them one side by side, and you're not giving it an absolute position. You're just telling it to take your screen and kind of lay it out in this way. So that's the way Java does all their, even in regular Java, they do the layouts that way, and you rarely do have to.
All right, but presumably there's some way to say, don't muck with this piece, keep it exactly as it is, make sure it fits,
Yeah.
and then put whatever's next.
Right, I'm sure you could do that. I don't know the answer yet, though. I haven't ramped up to that level yet.
There's other layouts like table layout, grid layout.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, Android frowns upon absolute positioning.
But do you develop this for a particular phone? Is that why it knows?
No. Now Android, for iPhone, of course, it's the iPhone, but for Android, they've got all kinds, and it's a little bit of a problem sometimes to have different devices with it, because some things you'll actually use and the phone won't have that capability. So there are ways to put in there that whether it has that, to indicate, well, actually what happens is you can put in the manifest that it uses such and such and such and such, and that way, if it does, it'll, prompt you if necessary or tell you that you can't do it. Let's see, where are we here? Okay, so layout. Oh, raw. Well, raw is just what it says. Raw is you don't do anything with those files. Those are just the sound files there that are just stuck there. And values. Okay, there's a strings, which we saw before, and then there's a colors file with some different, because I used some different colors, so I kind of coded those names in there. So it's 4 colors for alpha, red, green, and blue. Okay, and then the source, let's look at that, the source. So there should be 2 files now. The main one, and the thing is here, first place, the activity implements on-click listener, because you need to have a listen for that button click, and so and then I have to set it up, just the way you would do it in Java if you're familiar with that. But in any case, so this is the what we did before, set content view. But now I've got to find the view by ID. So I use the ID image button 1, and I get the rock button, and then set on-click listener this, because this is the class that has the on-click method. And so that means when you click on the rock button, then it'll go to the on-click method and execute it for what you want to do. So I set up the event handler for the rock button, the scissors button, and the hand button, and then the volume control for the sound, and then what I want to show you here is how you get to the other activity. So when I click on one of those buttons, of course I build some string. I'm building the string for the answer there. But the thing is, the media player, I start the media player with a particular res ID that I want for the sound, for the rock and the scissors and the paper. But here, okay, so, well, I can go up a little bit. Here's the intent. So what I'm doing is creating an intent. In other words, when I invoke this intent, I want to do this res activity, basically, is what I'm telling you. So I create an intent to do that activity, and then when I'm down here after I've pressed the button and configured the data that I need, and then actually with the intent I can put some data, because I need to put those strings that, what I figured out about what was played and so on, and so I put that extra information into the intent, and then I start the activity with that intent. And so then it'll go to the new screen. And so that will be the res.java. And so here, basically I'm kind of having to put the answers in the text view and And then same thing when I have a button to play again, and so I create an intent to go back to the start, the RSP activity, and then go back. So, and where did I do with my, let's see, I did main, I was trying to find the other one, did I make it go back? Let's see. Res.xml, okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so this is the second screen, the results screen, that has the what I played and what the computer played, and this is whether I won or lose, which I made a little bigger, and I configured the color, and then the button. And so in XML, you can see there's a just a linear layout that's and some text views and a button. Okay, so let's see, where's my notes here? Okay, so we hooked up the buttons. We use the intent to go from one to the other. We have two different layouts, and you can either, as I say, use the XML, or you can just drag the stuff in there and configure it with the property fields. All right, so here, now in this ball game here, it's you touch a ball to score, and after, if you score 10 points, the ball will shrink and start going faster. So, and what I want to show you here is first place, the previous views that we saw were just created in XML, basically, either by dragging stuff in or by writing the XML yourself. But here, I'm going to actually write a custom view, I guess, using in Java. And that'll be the drawing of the ball as it moves around. And then the other thing I'll show you is a little bit of 2D drawing, so you can see how to do some 2D drawing. So, and there's the on-touch event handler for, because you're actually on the phone, you touch it with your finger. And the on-draw method, sort of like Java drawing, actually. So let's run that one and see if we get rid of all this stuff. Yeah. Well, okay, now, ball. Oh, wrong thing. Okay, so touch the ball, score a point. You can have easy, medium, or hard. So I'll do easy, because that's all I can do. Oh, look at that. So now it got smaller and it's going faster, so I give up. But well, I'll show you hard. And I had these kids on their phone like this, you know. But anyway, but it keeps the high score. So there's a factor in there. So this is a little bit of simple storage. It has what they call preferences. And so I just use preferences. If you have to only store a couple of things, you know, you can just do that locally with these preferences. And so, so when I started again, you know, well, of course, if I ever got higher than 15, it would update and stay that way. The other interesting, I told you the Java view, and
Art,
yes.
where does it store? Where are the preferences? Are that in?
Yeah, every application has a space where, you know, you can.
In the application.
Yeah.
How long does it stay?
Oh, it stays as long as the application's there.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's only for small data. It's like simple. It's not, you know, it's not something. Well, later on, I won't show you in this. I'll show you on the iPhone. But it does have. You can use files, and it's actually got a little Linux system under there. You can actually use the files, and you can also it has a SQLite database there, so you can use that as well. But none of my applications here use. I have a database application for the iPhone. but this is just for simple things like a high score or something. So, let's see. And let's look at the code a little bit, I guess.
But the MySQL or SQLite is just there. You don't have to install it, right?
That's correct. It comes with it. Both on the Android and the iPhone, both have the same thing. So let's see, ball. Okay, well, let's look at that. So here's, okay, this is the main activity, the ball, and so it's starting with the XML view, set content view like that. But here, the second activity, when I start actually having the ball move around, then set content view, new ball view of this. So this is the custom view that's written in Java. And the shared preferences, that's for saving, like I say, saving the high score. So I can pass that. So there's a little shared preferences editor, and it's kind of, it's very simple get and put type of thing. So let me look at the ball view. So it extends, you know, an Android view, and there's a on-touch event. So this is when you touch the screen, and I get basically the position of the touch, the X and Y, and then just kind of figure out if it's inside the circle. So. And then the on-draw is very much like Java drawing. You have a canvas, and then you have various methods. You can set the background color, set the foreground color, draw a rectangle, but that's for the whole background. But you can draw text, that's where I draw the score, draw the high score, draw a circle for the ball, and then I have kind of every time this thing gets called, I kind of check change the position, x plus dx and y plus dy. And I run it for, I don't know, 20 seconds or something. Okay, so there's a little simple drawing API there. Is what I want to show you there, that you can do two-dimensional drawing. If you want to do something.
How are you connecting the Java to the resources? Or they automatically generated, I mean, you click on it and then Java comes up, or .java is created for you?
I'm not quite sure what you mean.
Those .javas, are they automatic, or do you create them yourself?
No, they're automatic up to a point. In other words, when I showed you the very first program, it was automatic. So it creates an automatic file, but it's very brief. It's, you know, just and it only creates it for the main activity. So for the other things, I think, you know, you kind of do it. It's not so I pretty much wrote this.
So all those you wrote, right? It didn't generate any of the imports.
Yeah, I think I wrote this. Well, yeah, I wrote this actually. Yeah.
I'm just curious
right.
How much is automatic?
Well, the automatic you saw in the very first one, because that was all automatic. And it creates one activity, and it's very small. It's like 2 lines of code in the onCreate method, and probably some, a bunch of imports that I didn't open up. But basically, it does start you with one activity automatically, and the rest of it you have to kind of.
Is there a table entry for that, like ballview.java? Is that name like in a table entry in a resource somewhere?
Well, it's here because you see, when you play ball, I use it. Here's where it's used right here. When I set the content view, instead of sending it to one of those XML files, I set it to this new ball view that I wrote. So that's where it comes up. As far as the in the manifest, then the 2 activities will be there: the ball activity and the play ball activity. So they'll be in the manifest, and then the play ball refers to the ball view.
So I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The next question was how does Android know where to start? So it goes
Well,
the main
activity is the first one that comes up, and that's why you put that intent filter to tell which one is your main activity. And, okay. Yeah, I didn't really, I mean, I kind of roughly timed this thing out, but I figure, you know, if you get, have other obligations, shall we say, before breakfast, you know, you can. Roughly. I don't have a turn-off switch. No, I'm kidding. I will finish. Okay. Okay, so let's see. The slides have an end, actually. I'm going to go to the next one here, so see what we're doing next. OpenGL. All right. So both Android and iPhone have actually the same OpenGL ES for embedded system that is there. And this example I took, it was actually also part of an assignment, but so I probably have my version of it somewhere, but I just used the, oh, I know what happened. It kind of, I shared the code, and so I kind of merged the book's code and my code and made a big mess. So it actually runs, but I figured to be a little cleaner, I'd just show you the simple book example before I started playing around with it. So anyway.
This is from your book?
No, this is from Hello Android. I have the reference at the end.
Oh.
It's this is the book that I used in the class. So OpenGL. By the way, you know, there's a lot of nice books around, and other resources, online resources as well. I have a few of them listed at the end, but so let's see, OpenGL. Oh, let me run this thing. So I guess that's the best thing to do. Okay, OpenGL. So this would be for doing fancier graphics, including, as this will be, you'll see, would be 3D graphics. And so, yeah, I had them actually chasing after this little objects in 3D and having to move in 3 dimensions on their assignment. Now there it is. So this is the you know, cube, transparent with a texture on the surface and rotating. Now this particular cube, you'll see the code in here actually constructs it from vertices. So vertices and triangles, the way you do in OpenGL. And so let's see. What do I want to show you there? Okay, so it draws the cube from vertices, and the main thing there is it uses the view really isn't important. What it does is it goes automatically to this GL renderer interface, and here's the 3 methods that actually do the work from the renderer. On surface created to set a bunch of properties, you know, like initialization. On surface change, we update the view matrix, the perspective. And then on draw frame, we actually go through the various, whatever you're trying to draw in your scene, transform your little pieces around and draw them. So, let's see. Okay, so I guess probably just look at the source here. Okay, so the main isn't very interesting actually. It's just create, but use this GL view, which also isn't very interesting. So, but I'll just go, you know, piece through it here. So here.
Art, can you also show us the Android manifest that shows where Android finds the start line from?
Well, sure.
Start class, or excuse me,
Yeah,
starting activity.
yeah. Wait, don't copy it. Isn't it? Here. So the manifest is always here where you have the application tag, and then you have multiple activity tags, but here we only have one, and it has this intent filter, which says that the intent of this activity is to be a main, and to kind of be the launch activity. So this is where it comes in. Every application will have one activity that's going to be the main. So let's see. Okay, the view is, as I say, really you don't do anything in the view except call the renderer. So, okay, try again. Okay, so the view just calls it renderer and sets the renderer. So, and the renderer is what actually does the work. So, well, actually, it does, but you got to create a new GL cube. So the GL cube is what actually constructs the cube. So let me just look at that first. So this is, well, I mean, I'm not going to go over this, but basically you can see if you're familiar with this kind of OpenGL stuff, you see there's a bunch of vertices and texture coordinates and byte buffers and vertex buffers and texture buffers and setting, you have all these pieces to build a cube. So this is the draw method for the cube. If you do all this, draw the different faces and put the textures there and get the normals right and everything, you'll have a cube. So basically, but so nothing to say about that because it's OpenGL stuff. Now the render. Okay, so here are the see the renderer implements the renderer interface from the GL surface view, and that's what has these three methods. So here's the on surface created that you set various initialization properties, the ambient light, the diffuse light, and create the matrices, enable depth tests, and so on. It's just, and then the on surface changed, so you can look at the viewport and check your situation and make a new perspective matrix. And then the actual on-draw frame is where most of the work is. And so here's where you do the actual whatever transformations, the rotation that you're doing here to kind of twist it around. And then every so often we rotate a little more, and so it looks like it's moving around. So anyway, it's if you're familiar with it, fine. If but it's kind of a thing that is making OpenGL available for doing 3D whatever games or whatever you want to in the Android or, in fact, iPhone environment. Okay, let's see. And for where's the other one? There. Okay, and then finally, my final Android slide, at least when I get to the iPhone, is the browser view, again from Hello Android. It's a very simple thing, but I just wanted to show you how you can connect to a website, because that might be part of a lot of applications. And so I'll run this browser view. Let's see what happened here. Okay, well, that shows up. Let's see. So, an edit text and button above a web view. So, on the top, you'll have a place to put in your website and a button to go to it. And then below, it's going to use the load URL method to actually load the website. Let's see. There. Okay, so let's see. We'll put a test here. cool. Well, we'll tell DoubleTree to make their internet work a little better. Okay. Well, oh, well, it could be me. I'm not, okay.
Look for something in there about honor.
Yeah, let me see if I can connect. Hang on. Connect to a network. I thought it would just connect, but didn't.
Yeah, H honors, that's the.
Okay, that'll work. Connect anyway, yeah, sure.
It's unsecure.
My age bracket, I don't worry about it. Okay, close.
No, it's insecure.
Let's see.
Would you like a network?
Well, we'll see. This may actually work. We'll see. Browser. See my applications. Browser view. I think that's what I'm doing. So this is where the slides are, which I was going to show you. Well, I connected, you know, that's the thing. I'm connected here. What's it say?
You better go to the browser once, you know.
Oh, yeah, probably do. Yeah, you're probably right. That's why I have to do a work. Okay. Let's see. Well, where are you?
Emulators eating all your CPUs.
Especially if you've got the 3G still running.
Oh, do I? Yeah.
You guys still going?
Well, I don't know. No, I think it's not running now because it's background. Well, if this happens fast, I'll do it otherwise. Okay, well, that seemed to work okay. Let's go back to the other things.
Well, I think you have to configure your emulator to use the internet.
It worked at home, you know, it's just,
If you have the internet, the emulator will go through your device. You don't have to set anything up.
But are you in the bed or you're actually in your box?
That
Well-
is cached.
Is it cache, I think? Yeah, go to Google.
oh, I see, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. Maybe you're right. Now, let's see here. Let's try, what I want to show you here. Oh, presentations. I'll just kind of show you anyway. So here's the presentation that I'm doing right now. So, okay, now let's go back to this emulator thing.
Do we have access to the source code that you showed to us today?
Well, some of it, actually, these references are pretty close. I don't have the exact source code, but I do. But if you look in the references, there are things that are similar to that. Okay, well, this doesn't seem to be. I mean, I'm sure if I had, you know, if I really did take till breakfast, I'll get the thing working. But let me just go and just show you. It's very. There's not much to it, but just to show you how it works. And see, the source is. Well, here. Okay, so what it is just basically a web view component that is under an edit text and a button. And so what I do is just I get the listener for the, either click the button or press, or hit the enter key. And then I call the open browser method, and the open browser method is a web view, load URL, will just pass it the URL text that I entered, my website, and it will load it. And it's simple as that, and then the bottom part will have the web page, and then I can just use it. So it's a simple application, but it just shows you that you can use this component to actually place a URL on the page somewhere. Okay, so let's get going here so we can do some iPhone. Let's see. So iPhone anyway will go a little quicker because there aren't any demos. Okay, so for the iPhone, you need an Intel Mac, 10.5, 0.4 or higher. And you can download the iPhone SDK and register for free from developer.apple.com iPhone. But if you want to put the program on your iPod Touch or your iPhone, then it's $99. And that's also, once you do that, then you can also send it to the Apple Store, the App Store for sale. See, in Android, there's a $25 fee, and you don't go through anybody. You just put it up. I mean, you post it without any review, so it's basically instantaneous.
That's $99 a year.
Thank you. $99. I haven't done that. As you notice, I get it free from teaching a class. So, but I did pay the $25 for the Android. So, and I actually have posted one program for. Actually, I can run.
Rock, paper, scissors?
No, it's for the campus radio station. They have a radio station. They wanted the internet thing for it, so that you can hear the radio station on the Android now. Anyway, it uses Objective-C, which is kind of a funky cross between C and C++. Actually, it's very old. It was the first real C-like object-oriented language. And I had a grad student doing this and doing his master's thesis using Objective-C in 1985. And it was Brad Cox developed it. And what happened, it got into the next operating system. So you see everything, when you look in the iPhone API, everything says NS. Well, the NS comes from Next Step, because you probably remember that Apple took over the operating system from the Next machines, which had this really, very nice software, which they unfortunately coupled with the hardware that didn't succeed. But anyway, Objective-C is if you have any kind of C or Java, C#, any of those things, you kind of pick it up, but it's a little funky looking. Okay, anyway, and then you use XCode, which comes with the with the SDK, and you have that XCode. And then the examples I'm doing, although I actually have assignments probably on my memory stick, but I'm just using the ones because I can't demo them here without an iMac, without a Mac laptop. So that with everything installed. So I'm using the examples from this book, iPhone SDK Development, that I'll just talk about instead of show you. But I'll show you some of the code, though I do have the code for them. And this code, by the way, in answer to your question, is you can, for these books at least, you can download all the code from. It's from Pragmatic Programmer, and they have all the codes online you can download. Where are we here? I guess. Oh, the documentation, I do want to show you that. Well, the internet doesn't work, but developer.android.com, the API is very well documented, and you go there, and they have all kinds of other information, but in particular, for any of the classes and methods in the API, it's very easy to find the Android documentation from there. And, okay, so the iPhone, I was going the wrong way there. Okay, so hello iPhone, and so you create start a new project in Xcode, and you'll see. Let me just open that up. I'll just open the book here. Let's see, where's that? Okay. So, here. So let me just make this a little bigger. So you can see if you open it up, you get a choice of different type of applications. There's a view-based application, which we're using here. So you have a main window, and then the window has a view, and that's what this view-based application works with. And then there's my other example, we use a navigation-based application, some of the other examples that we'll talk about what the difference is. But anyway, let me see. So when you do that, again, it's the same thing. Basically, pretty much what you get when you just do nothing. Although here you have to do something to get the first application. So this Hello iPhone, I guess I'll show you. There's a picture in here. Let me just show you what it looks like. It's going to have one label, basically, is all you're going to do here. And there's a label that, there's a kind of a thing you can drag in here. So it's going to look like this. It just says, hello iPhone. And what you've done is just configure a label to have bigger text, make it red, stretch it out, something like that. And okay, so when you create your project, you get a Hello View Controller class. Because remember, we chose a View Controller application, so you'll get a View Controller that manages the view, and the class will be, have the header file and the Objective-C file, and then you'll have this Hello View Controller nib. Again, it's XIB extension, but it's pronounced nib for used to be NIB. Anyway, it's this huge XML. It's also XML, but it's it's got too much stuff in there. You never want to use it directly. And basically, the way you use it is kind of click on the nib file, and it'll pop up this tool, Interface Builder, which so in this case, I said with Android you could do either one, either the XML or the GUI thing. But here you only use the GUI unless you do it in code directly. But and then there's a Hello App Delegate also, which manages the application. Remember, you have an application that's running, and it has some lifecycle things that actually we don't really have to worry about, but that's what the delegate does. So if I look at the code here, let's see, go back to where I have the stuff set up. Okay. So hello iPhone. This is again downloadable from cragprog.com, and this is basically a default application. There isn't much that's actually done here, and so you have the nib file that. I'll open it just to show you. Okay, so you see this is a rather large XML file that yeah, look at it. Yeah, keeps on going. All right, so nobody ever, I wouldn't say nobody ever looks at it, but I certainly never have. So, but I just wanted to show you that you don't use that. So, but when you click on this, actually, if I actually had a demo here, it would pop up this interface builder with the component list on the side, so you can drag a label in. See, the view will be blank at first, and then you drag a label into it, and then on the other side, well, actually on this side, from where you're looking at it, there'll be this interface thing with the components. And then on this side, you'll have the properties, and then you can fill in the properties, change the text side. So it's like what we saw with the Android, but it's more useful here because the alternative.
Well, yeah, Interface Builder kicks butt over Android's layout tool.
Yeah, well, that's right. It does. I mean, the thing is, I will say, having used them both, it's very pleasant to use, the Interface Builder here and compared. To that. And if I had the emulator, you see it starts up a lot faster too. Okay, but I like the Android API, however. Okay, so here's the thing, the app delegate, we don't need to do anything about it. The view controller, all it's going to have, well, I'll show you. All it's going to have is that one label that got dragged in there. So it just has a UI label, and then this, see, your controller inherits from the UI view controller, and it's a tag. This IB outlet is just a tag, and it says it's a component that you can refer to in your code. Now, the interesting thing is that when you use Interface Builder, the way you actually configure it is, well, you can configure it in Interface Builder, and you'll see, I think I have a little picture of that, how you configure these things. Let's see. Well, here you don't need to, because we're not actually doing anything with a label. You just put in the text and the hello iPhone and the property. So, but in the next example, we'll configure it. Okay. So, let's see. Let's get rid of this. So there isn't much here, I guess. So let's go on. Okay. Okay, hello user. So now this gets a little more interesting. Now we're going to have a text field for the user to enter a name to say hello Art or something. Okay, and so as I said, the IB outlet, it will be like your label and your text field. So there'll be a text field in there to enter the name. There'll be a label to display it, and then there'll be a button that you can press so that when you want to say hello, you press the button to actually, after you've entered it, and say, okay, go ahead and do it. And so the action is the button handler. In other words, something that the nibs object, or the interface objects, oops, what happened there? I went too far. Okay, there we go. Okay, so something that the when the user presses the button, that will get called. It's the event handler. So anyway, here's the interesting thing. In Interface Builder, you connect the outlets to the code and connect the action to the event handler method, the say hello method. And then you have to implement the method. So let's see if I can find that here. Okay, so here's what you do. Interface Builder, drag these text field and the button and the label in there, and then you configure them. It actually is very nice to, it gives you the lines and everything to line everything up. And so here you see it's kind of, you've stretched it out and lined them up the way you want. And now here's what I'm trying to show you. That in Interface Builder, this is how you connect the actual label in the view to the particular code item that you have. And so it's kind of a drag. You kind of click on one here in the, this is your view controller, box here. And then, see, let me make this a little bit bigger. Let me go, I should go one down, one picture down, I think. Here. Okay, let's make it a little bigger. So, okay, and so what you see here is I'm dragging the text field here, and it's called name field in the code. It's the outlet, and so I kind of drag it from the file owner here in the code to the user interface, and it connects up this name in the code to this particular user interface component. So, and no doubt gets makes your XML file even bigger. Just kind of makes all these things. But this is how an easy way to do it, with this kind of dragging from to make the connections between the code and the interface. And also here's a say hello method, and that you'll be connecting that as for the touch-up action. When you touch the button, you want this method to be executed. So you can drag that from Interface Builder to configure that. So let's see, what did I say about that? Connect outlets to code. Right. Okay. Implement implement the method. Okay, let's look at that. I've got to show you at least a little bit of Objective-C. So. There it is. There's the say hello method. The say hello method, the method is actually it's say hello :sender. So that means that it's the say hello method with a sender parameter, and the say hello returns void and has a sender, which is some idea is a generic thing, and then so NS string. Remember I told you it's like the next step. So that's the, by the way, that's different. You have to be very careful. You preface your strings with an @ sign because that's the way you get an NS string. Otherwise you'll get a C string, which you definitely don't want. So if you just put it in quotes itself. So here you see the @ sign in front of it, and that makes it an NS string. So that was a little pitfall I fell into a little bit. I was saying, well, why are my strings working? And I figured out I wasn't using the NS string. Well, anyway, so you read your name, you read your text field, and make a string that you get from the text field, and then here's this thing is kind of you know, in the brackets. I'm kind of sending the NS string an alloc message. So that's the kind of the syntax: send an object, create a message, and then once I get that NS string object, I send it the init with format. And then I give it the initialization for it. Anyway, I can't really show you too much of Objective-C, but just, you know, a little bit of the flavor of it here. And then we put the message, hello message, in the label and release it. Remember, in C languages, you have to do the memory management yourself. So, okay. So I guess that's good enough for that. We want to get the show on the road here. Okay, now, the next thing that I want to show you is movie example here. In first place, it's used as model view controller. So we didn't have a model yet. Now there'll be a movie class that will hold the data. And so that'll be the model. And then we'll have you know, the view and the controller. So, and the other thing here is that we'll have two, just like I showed you in the Android, we started off with one view, now we're going to have two views. So we'll have the initial view where you display a movie and have an edit button, and then if you want to edit it, you'll go to a new view and make your changes and have a done button and go back to the original changed, well, it'll be the original view but with the changed information. So and the way you do that is send a message in this example, send a message in the edit button to start to go to the movie. Actually, it's sort of a misprint. It should be movie edit, the movie editor controller. So and send a message in the done button to return to the movie view controller. So you kind of go from one controller to another. So we have, if you look at this in the code, let's see, movie, okay, that would be view controller. Let's see, and it's better open movie 3. Okay, so here we have a movie view controller, which will be the initial view, and then we'll go to the movie editor view controller to do the editing, and then come back to the movie view controller. So basically, if you let's go to the view controller. Smaller. Okay, so it's a similar thing with the interface builder, but okay, so you have to make your model class. It's kind of showing you that. Here's the model. It's a movie class, which has, the movie has a title, a box office gross, and a summary. And you have a little init with title, a box office gross, and summary. So yeah, again, this kind of style with colon and then the parameter and another name of the parameter. So I guess you could say the parameters are named. That's what the difference in Objective-C. And these property things make them properties, so it does an automatic get and set methods for you. Anyway, but what I actually want to show you, that's the model class. See, there's a picture here. So, yeah, okay. So there's what it would be. You have 3 labels with the the information, and then an edit button, and again, the kind of configuring it with interface builder. Now I just want to show you the. Let's see. Going back from one to the other. So let's see. Here's a movie editor view controller, and there you're going to use text fields. So you'll see there's a little picture of that. Here's the done method. Well, let me just go and show you the picture first. Okay, so this is what the editing is going to look like. There'll be the text fields here. You can make the changes you want, and then the done method. So when you go and click on the done button, you actually want to go back to the original controller. So that's what see, I had the sock up here. There, the done method. We take our current controller, go to the parent view controller, and then tell it to dismiss modal view controller animated : yes. Well, they have rather long method names, but basically it says, okay, it's telling the parent to get rid of itself, basically, saying it's done, because it's the done method. And now, let me show you how it got called in the first place. That was the edit button when you had the original text. When you couldn't edit it, you pressed the edit button to go to the new screen. And there's the edit button. So we save the movie in the, and then we tell ourselves to present modal view controller and give it the parameter editing view controller. So we tell it, to go and go to the next controller. Okay. So now, here I took actually a screenshot of an actual application, and this is one step up now from what I showed you, because what I had there was just one movie. Now we have a table, so this is very useful to have a table, and in fact it's using a navigation controller this time, and you can kind of see that because the navigation bar is on the top where you can go here and edit, and so that would actually pops up another screen where you can actually delete entries, or here the plus where you can actually add an entry to the table. And so again, the the table view is is a kind of a common facet. Let me go to my slides here, and so what you have is in the navigation controller. When you choose navigation controller, it automatically extends a table view controller and has a table view there. So you don't need to actually add it. The navigation controller has it. But what you have to know is that the table view controller implements these protocols that they call protocol, and Objective-C is what you call an interface in Java or C#. UI table view data source protocol, and that works with the data in terms of configuring the rows and adding and deleting to the table. And the table view delegate handles things like when you tap it to select a row. And so these delegates are automatically come with this navigation controller, all the method. In fact, if you look now at what you get with the default application, you get a ton of code. In fact, most of it's commented out, but you get all the methods from these protocols, so that you know the framework is there. You don't even have to look it up. The methods are there, and you really just have to uncomment them and make any changes that you need. But they give you the whole. When you do a navigation controller, you get a table, you get all these protocols, you get all the prototypes of the methods. So they're quite large, actually. And so what the application looks like, this is like the overriding thing is because you chose navigation controller, but it has, as you saw, the navigation bar at the top, and then it has, for the view below, it has what they call the root view controller. So that because you can with a table, you can maybe navigate down to different levels, and so have the root view controller, and then anyway, so what I want to say here, let's see. Oh, I was on the thing. Right. So go one more. And the another thing, the navigation controller maintains the navigation state as a stack of controllers. So when you want to go to another, like you want to edit one of those entries in the table, now you just push on it, tell the navigation controller to push a new controller, and then when you're done, you can just pop the controller. So, and in this example, it just uses an array to hold that table data. So what happens, you can make changes. You can delete entries, you can go in there and add entries, but when you close the application, it's gone. So, but anyway, it's just an example that shows you how to use a table, but not too practical if it all goes away and the changes you make. Anyway, let me go to show you the final thing, because I don't want to talk all night. So let's see. Okay, so what you can do, to go one step further here, and this is actually very nice. The SQLite, you can use that database directly in iPhone, just the same way you can with Android, but they have this API called Core Data, which really kind of wraps it in a very nice interface where you don't have to write any SQL yourself, and you just create the objects. In fact, I'll show you what you do, in fact. So here's the thing. There's a managed object context, which is what it says, row data turned into objects, and so that you have the objects in your as you refer to them in your movie class or whatever in your code, and the managed object model is like the schema describes the database, and then the persistent store coordinator. I mean, you actually create this in the code, but it's sort of done automatically. You don't. It connects to the database. So all this is kind of behind the scenes, and then what you do actually is click on the there's an XC data model thing that I'll show you, because you have to see that. So let's see, core data. Okay. So this is using tracks and sessions, like for a conference. So, and again, it has a table here. We're building on what you did before. We have the navigation controller with a table, exactly like what I just did, except instead of everything going away, anytime we make a change, everything is persisted down to the database using this core data. So,
excuse me.
Yes.
If I have data in the core data, can a different application access that data? or does it belong?
Yeah, I think it belongs to the application, but I think you can make, I haven't done that, so I can't tell you too much, but I think it is, you can actually. But it is stored, you know, you have to give it permissions and, you know, go through the security thing, but I think you can, but it's stored with the application. So, you know, what I want to show you, this is the, you'll see it in a minute. There's a GUI for doing that here. So here's the GUI, let's make it a little larger. And so, okay, so what you do when you create the database, you just go into this, there's an entity column, and this would be your different tables. This has one table right here. This is what it gives you, I mean, what it starts you with, but then you kind of change it to your own tables. And then for each table, you have different properties, and those would be your columns, your column names, and you can configure them, obviously. But basically, this is the GUI where you configure the structure of the database, the different tables, and each table has certain columns with certain properties and so on. And so, and then, see, now what do I say here? The, oops, one too many there. Okay, so well, you create a managed object class, and again, there's a thing there in one of the choices in the menu choices. You know, when you create a new class in Xcode, and you create this managed object class to see it reflects. Let me just show you here, probably. Because you see, you're creating the, with that GUI I just showed you, you create the actual data in file database, but then you need the objects to go back and forth in your code. So that's what you create, that managed object class. And so, I don't know if I passed it yet or not. Let's see. But in this case, you're using tracks and sessions, so there'd be a track class and a session class. And I don't know if I may have passed it yet, but oh no, here it is, the manage object class. So so there's a track and session, and there you can kind of see, just kind of write the code for the class track. Well, I mean, create the classes for your track and sessions. Okay, but now the let's see what else. So one other thing I can show you here, in the other examples, we configured all the buttons and so on with Interface Builder, but you can actually do it in code, and here it kind of shows you actually doing it in code, and the in the view-did-load method. And so, and also the other thing you want to know about this, there's that's actually very nice, this fetch results controller. It's actually the adapter between the core data and the table view. So whenever you kind of, you know, check the number of rows or something, it's always the fetch results controller that tells you, you know, anything down in the database, and it presents it to the program. And so, basically you tell the fetch result controller what kind of an entity you're dealing with in your program, and it kind of makes the connection between that and the database. So let me just show you that. I think we can. So where's the code? The view-did-load method. Let's see. See, this is the part where it's creating the fetch results controller, and it goes through configuring that controller to, you know, to work with the entities and so on. And then here it is, view did load. So what you see here is that we have the navigation, because we're using a navigation controller. We have that navigation item that is the bar above. And so we tell it the left bar button item, we want an edit button item. And that's actually a standard thing, so it knows that there's an edit button, and you don't have to do anything else. For the plus sign on the other side, the add button, then you have to do a little more. you take a UI bar button item, and there is actually a bar button class as opposed to a button class. And here, again, this Objective-C syntax, you allocate one of these bar button items and then init with bar button system item, bar button, oh gosh. Anyway, anyway, it's a bar button system item add. So it's kind of a, they have actually an add button that automatically makes the plus sign. And then action, here's the other thing it's configuring. See, instead of dragging the interface builder to tell it what code you want to handle which interface component, you just tell it here, the action is going to be the insert track method for this button. So this is the code way to do it. And then once we've created this add button, we put it on the navigation item, right bar button item, and put the add button. And and here, this is actually the fetch result controller working. So we perform fetch, and the fetch is configured up there in the code I didn't show you, to know that it's fetching these kind of tracks that we, in this example. And so that's where it actually pulls the data in from the database into your table. And you've got, by the way, the other thing I didn't show you, the table components, the
Columns.
The columns and the rows. In other words, all those protocols, the data source protocol allows you to configure. So how many columns you have? I mean, how many columns in the table, and how many sections. You can even have table sections. Anyway, so there's other stuff. There's a lot to do. I can't, it's obviously in the short, well, not as short as it could have been, but anyway, short time. All right. So all right, let's get it over with here. So references. Okay. So I used this book from Pragmatic Programmers because I thought it was a kind of a direct example-based thing. So I kind of liked it. And it's
although Android is on a 3rd edition?
Yes. Might be a 4th edition since they keep coming out with new versions of Android.
Like every, what, 3 months?
Yeah, well, that's just the way it is. I mean, Android came out in, 3 months. I mean, 2.3 just came out, now it's 3. So you gotta, it's hard to keep up with these things. Of course, they all have, e-versions now. So, months before the actual hard book comes out. In fact, I've never seen the hard book. I only use the e-version. And then here's an article. By the way, if you're looking for a simple article, I got this one from IBM.com Developer Works, an Introduction to Android Development Using Eclipse and Android Widgets. It's a nice, like a 25-page article that gets you into the introductory stuff. The iPhone book where I took these examples from is iPhone SDK Development, also from Pragmatic Programmers. And just out of, since I mentioned the OpenGL, I just reviewed a rather nice book, Beginning iPhone Games Development. It was just published in 2010 that has a lot of nice games for the iPhone. And then there's also a free, oh, what happened? Help! Well, all right, I did it. I guess it's time to go home. Here's the thing. The developing apps for iOS from Stanford University. So if you Google that, there's a whole series of videos and PDF files on iPhone. And there's lots of other resources too, but these are just happen to be things that I've looked at. So, well, thank you.
On behalf of the Computer Society, I'd like to present you with this certificate of appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you for educating us and entertaining us. I appreciate it very much. Will you be available to answer some questions offline?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to ask one more minute of your attention. We have an individual like to make a announcement. Brief announcement. Well, we'll do that after we close the meeting. So please, would you brief announcement?
Oh yeah, I'm taking advantage of your time. Frank Forbath, I was the founding and chairman of, for several